Alright, welcome back to the second video in this series about traveling as a crew member and what the process is like starting from your home all the way to when you first sign on the ship. If you just stumbled upon here, I have all three videos listed in order in the description below. In the last video, I talked about the different documents that you're going to need, dealing with the airports, and what to do if your luggage goes missing. In this video, we're going to be going over getting from the airport to the hotel, getting your meal vouchers, and then how to do your reimbursements. Let's go. Now at this point, you either have all your bags or you've already filled out a luggage claim form and you're off to the hotel. What you'll be looking for is the courtesy shuttles that the hotels provide for you. And it's pretty straightforward, you just follow the signs in the airport. Now this next part might sound a little racist, but honestly it's just the facts. When you go outside, you know you're waiting in the right spot when you see a large group of people with several bags, all coming from India, the Philippines, and Nicaragua, all waiting in the same spot together. 99.9% chance that they're all cruise ship workers as well. Most hotels have their shuttles running on a constant loop, depending on the time of day. The best bet is to just give the front desk a call and let them know you need to pick up at the airport. You shouldn't have to wait more than about 15 or 20 minutes for one. Just make sure that it's going to the same exact hotel that's in your paperwork. There's a very big difference between a Holiday Inn and a Holiday Inn Express, and they'll have shuttles for each one of those hotels. Some of the crew members on the shuttle might be going to the same ship as you. However, all the cruise lines seem to make a deal with the same hotel. Now, feel free to make a friend at this point, but don't take it personally if they're not as warm and friendly to you. While you might have only been traveling for about 8 hours or so that day, a lot of these crew members are coming from very small villages around the world. So they had to jump on a bus for about 10 hours just to get to a major airport, then jump on a flight from there for about 5 hours to get to another airport, have about a 6-7 hour delay, and then jump on a 12-14 hour flight just to get to where you are right now. Chances are they've been traveling for about 2 or 3 days already at this point with no opportunity to sleep in an actual bed. I've done this before myself and it makes for a very cranky individual. Alright, so you finally made it to the hotel. Now, depending on when you arrived, it might go really fast, or there might be a gigantic mob of other crew members looking to check in as well. That's okay, take this time to call back home, let them know that you got there safely and you're alright. Also, take a look around the lobby. If you see herds of people all scattered around, sitting on the floors and everything with their laptops and their phones out, bad news. There's no Wi-Fi in your room. But it's just as well because it gets you used to being on the ship for months at a time with very limited internet access. Now when you check in, just tell them your name and tell them the name of the cruise line company that you're working for. Some of them will ask for your letter for crew, most of them won't. Just make sure you have it handy. Now look, it doesn't matter if you're coming onto the ship as upper level management or you're all the way down at utility galley. More than likely, you're going to have a roommate. Get over it. It's just for one night. Just make sure you lock up your valuables. Most times, your roommate won't even show up, or they'll show up really late at like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, depending on the time of day that you arrive at the hotel, you'll be awarded a combination of meal vouchers, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or any combination of that. They'll look like this. This is not one of them, but they'll look just like this. Basically, they'll have the name of the company that you're working for, your name, and whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. You'll just present this at the restaurant in the hotel. Basically, they'll either open up a page in the menu or they'll give you an actual menu that's for crew members. And you'll select, and it will have choices for you. You can either have a super salad, and then about 5 or 6 different entrees to choose from, and then some kind of dessert. If you've ever been to a hotel in Vegas, or you've went through MEPS in the military in the United States, it's basically the exact same thing. So once you've had some dinner and got back to your room, settled in, relax a little bit, this is a great time to start gathering your receipts for reimbursement. There's just going to be way too much going on once you get on board, and you only have 7 days to submit these reimbursements. So this is a really good time to get it done. So first up is luggage. This is why I say to just check all your bags. They won't reimburse for overweight fees, but they will reimburse for 2 checked bags. And if they're going to reimburse for them anyway, you might as well just make it easier on yourself. Next up is medical. Some cruise lines might reimburse up to a certain percentage, and some cruise lines might not pay anything at all. Just make sure you check with your cruise line before you go. Next is transportation. Now, most of you will have some friends or family to drive you to the airport, but some of you will have to take a cab. There was even one time that I had a friend drive me to the airport, and I had him fill up his whole tank of gas, and I got that receipt reimbursed, but don't count on it. This last category is for meals. Now, this isn't as straightforward as the other ones. Be sure to check with your recruiter about what the actual allowance is. Actually, be sure to check everything with your recruiter. Get it all in writing. Don't just take my word for it. Things change all the time. As for these meals, they've fluctuated back and forth so many times, but I think all the cruise lines now are in agreement with $25 US per day. Now, depending on where you are in the world, that could be anywhere from a steak and lobster meal all the way to a hot dog and a water. But on average, I found it to cover a burger, fries, and a couple of coffees. Now, if you drink alcohol with your meals, not a problem. Just make sure you take those drinks and have them billed on a separate check. Because if those drinks are on the same check as the meal that you're trying to get reimbursed for, it will void it out and the cruise line won't even reimburse you for the meal. One last thing you want to confirm with the front desk is when the shuttle pickup time is in the morning that takes you from the hotel to the ship. They're usually pretty correct on this. However, if they tell you 7:30 and you didn't know any better, you've missed the shuttle. All the cruise lines more or less have the same standard of signing on new crew members by no later than 8 a.m. Of course, engine malfunctions, dockyard issues, and customs can all delay this. But no matter what time they tell you, make sure you're checked out and ready to go 30 minutes earlier. Now look, about 95% of the time it will be delayed. However, there was one time when it was early and several crew members actually missed it. And when that happens, you're on your own for getting a cab to the ship, and that will not be reimbursed. Okay, so the last video in this series, you click on it right here where I'll go over how to get from the hotel to the ship, meeting with personnel, dealing with customs, and then finally signing on to the ship for the first time. If you're new here, consider subscribing. This way you can be immediately notified when I upload a new video.